What's up, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Casters of Horror. I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane, and this week, both the creators of this movie and the overall message of the film itself are nefarious.
Okay, yeah. Guess we're going there early. Not holding back any punches right from the get-go. So we had, at least I had seen several people talking about this film lately. From the Soska sisters to Uncle Creepy himself. I think Jeff Whitmire even brought it up at one point on Twitter. I think he had talked about it. I'm don't quote me on that one. I know definitely on the other ones, but talked about this film and they were like, "You guys have to see this movie," and I'm like, I've heard things about this film. And going into it as a horror fan and everything, it seemed like the marketing was a little maybe nefarious as well, but we'll get into that a little bit later. This was a film, or this is a film. It was written and directed by Carrie Solomon, who you guys might know of. Well, just jump into it right now. Why not? He wrote God's Not Dead. What else did he write? Unplanned and Do You Believe? I don't know if he was. They didn't talk about him a whole lot when they were marketing this film. Okay. I'll put it that way. So Chuck Konzelman kind of took the head of it. He was also writer for God's Not Dead. God's Not Dead 2, Do You Believe, and What If? And Unplanned. Okay. The Book of Daniel. So yeah, he well, maybe he didn't. I know I'd never heard of these directors prior to.
Well, no, of course not.
But yeah, so this film came out, and I've heard the Soska sisters said, even if you're not a religious person or anything like that, you need to check out this film.
Yeah.
And
yes. And I do want to point out, on the off chance that the creators happen to listen to this, you didn't trick me, right? I knew what this was going into it, but because it had kind of entered the horror sphere as they intended, I'm like, sure, we'll give this a look, right? But you didn't get me. Sorry.
You didn't get Shane.
Nope.
Didn't get him. All right, so it stars, and this is the main reason why I went into it. It stars Sean Patrick Flanery, which played Connor from Boondock Saints, one of my favorite films. He was also in Saw 3D. He also did what else did he do? I'm such a big Boondocks fan. I was like, oh man, he was in Powder, Suicide Kings, The Boys, Lady Driver, American Fighter, Outsider. He's done a ton of stuff. And then playing opposite him as Dr. James Martin, who is coming to evaluate Sean Patrick Flanery, also known as Nefarious in the film. Playing Dr. James Martin is Jordan Belfi. He's kind of had like one-offs on a bunch of TV shows, and he was in VHS 85 most recently.
Okay.
And he was on a show called All American. So kind of an interesting pick, but when you got God's Not Dead behind you, who are you going to pay? Which was really odd for me to be like, Sean Patrick Flanery's in this? So
yeah,
I wanted to see it for that alone. But anyway, on with the film. Here we go. So Sean Patrick Flanery plays not only Nefarious, he's also plays Edward Wayne Brady, who does, he does like bit comedy stuff, a little bit of musical thing. Wrong
Mhm.
Wayne Brady.
Wrong
Sorry,
Wayne Brady.
wrong
I thought the
Wayne,
exact same thing, though. I was
wrong
like,
Wayne Brady. Sorry, a little improv there.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, so supposedly Edward Wayne Brady, he's a prisoner. He is supposedly possessed by this demon named Nefarious.
yeah.
And he wants Dr. James Martin to tell his story. He wants to meet the electric chair because he wants Edward Wayne Brady to suffer. Um, so
Well, hang on. He he wants that at first, and then about halfway through, he doesn't want that, but then by the end, he does want that again. It, it's
I didn't catch that he doesn't want it halfway through
yeah,
because,
yeah,
but so basically, Edward Wayne Brady is a serial killer. Um, Very violent killer. But he doesn't remember doing the killings. He says that he was made to do them. That the demon's the one who made him do the stuff. He basically did the things, and this doctor's playing it off as dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder, which I'm very familiar with.
yes.
Um,
And to be clear, this is absolutely something that this community would equate the two.
yes,
Right. It's
most
not an accident. This
yeah
is not an
most
accident.
most of the time in religious communities they will equate having multiple personalities as having demons.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Nefarious says, "We are many, we are legion.
Yeah.
We have many names." So yes, he can. Yeah, multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
Um, so Nefarious tells James that by the time that he leaves there, he's going to have murdered 3 people.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the phrasing is odd, and he even points this out. He's like, by the time you leave here, you will have murdered 3 people.
yes, you will have murdered 3, which is what I
Yeah.
said. You will have murdered 3 people.
Yeah,
But it's very specific the way
it's
that he
very
says it.
specific the way he says it is my point. Yeah.
Yes. Um, and we find out about these murders
Yeah. Now
through
I don't
storytelling.
yeah, and I didn't know how deep you wanted to dig into these. Um I want to bring up the first one because well, for 2 reasons. One, I find it to be an incredibly nefarious connection, right? And that
Get
is
into it. Let's
they
kind of do a halfway between the new show and the old show. Let's
okay.
get into it.
I don't want to talk about this for a long time, but I do want to point out, like,
Yeah.
the first spoilers. Okay, the first murder he commits is that he had a while back apparently helped his mother who was terminally ill um, end her life legally, right,
Yes.
through an assisted program or whatever. The very moment that they revealed that as the first murder, I knew exactly what the second one was going to be, and I called it, and I was right. So I'm just like, okay, well, I know where this is going.
Second murder, and by okay, Shane and I both grew up in very religious communities, so we
Yeah,
know phrasing, we know wordings, we
yeah,
know things that generally say, "Oh, I know where this is headed."
yeah,
The next murder being the doctor's girlfriend's abortion that she is having.
yeah,
So, and then the third one. Let's not spoil the third one. Um,
yeah.
so, which we won't. But it was very preachy on those facts. I
Mhm.
will put it that way. Um, we even have Glenn Beck making an appearance in the show.
Yeah, like
Uh,
at the very end. Yeah,
and towards the
yeah.
very end. Um, However, and I'm going to play devil slash nefarious advocate on this.
Yeah.
Sean Patrick Flannery did an amazing job in this film, playing as Nefarious. I think the switching back and forth between the two, the ticks, the characteristics, the things like this,
Mhm.
playing them both into this. I don't want to almost this psychopath basically.
Yeah.
His portrayal of this I thought was really really good.
I
Um,
thought I thought his times as Nefarious were fine. I mean, I found it to be a pretty vanilla performance as a demon, personally. What I thought was fantastic was when the human was able to break through,
yeah,
right?
Edward. Yeah.
Yeah, when Edward was there, uh, absolutely amazing performance.
Oh yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this is one of the things the creators are like, oh, everybody keeps saying how much they loved the acting,
Yeah.
So yeah, they're taking this as a win.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. Especially in those moments, he was very good
Oh
in
yeah.
those moments.
Yeah. He was really really good.
Yeah, yeah.
So he didn't disappoint whatsoever.
No, no, no.
Um, would you consider this a horror film though? And we,
Oh
we
no,
don't like to
no.
gatekeep horror and all that sort of stuff. Horror is what if it freaks you out, it's horror, whatever.
Yeah,
Um, that's why I can't watch Carrot Top stand up. Um, it
yeah.
freaks me out. All the props.
No, and look,
Um,
you're right. We've said before we don't want to gatekeep, but
yeah,
what I will say is even the creators don't consider this horror. Okay,
yeah,
they do not consider this a horror film. And I told you, off camera, I didn't find this out until afterward that, I was like, why did everybody think this was horror? Well, because the trailers were apparently, I have not seen the trailers, but apparently the trailers were cut to make it look like a horror film.
yeah,
And, and this is not my opinion. This is from the creators themselves. They did that on purpose. They deceptively edited the trailers so that they could, in their words, trick people who are attracted to darkness into coming and seeing this film.
yes.
Like,
The whole
so,
film, the story behind the whole film is this demon trying to get his story out because of how horrible humanity has become, and it's
yeah,
because of them they've made humanity worse because of demons.
yeah,
And his whole thing is to get his story out to make things worse. And um, so it's basically a warning type
yeah,
film.
yeah,
Um, it was a lot of propaganda. However, I liked it. I liked the movie.
yeah.
I loved his performance in it. Um, I liked the doctor's performance. I thought the movie was, for the most part, especially being from that religious mindset
Uh-huh.
or what used to be, I thought that a lot of the writing, because even though I'm not a religious person or anything, I love religion and the
Oh yeah.
study of it,
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
um, and what makes people think and what makes them tick. And
Uh-huh.
this movie kind of did that. It made me really kind of think about it. And I really liked some of the wordings that Nefarious used. I liked some of the uh, history.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say history in quotes
Yeah, yeah,
that he went into. The lore of it, I thought was really cool. I don't know. I dug the film. I don't consider it horror. I would say, if anything, it was a psychological thriller,
oh
maybe.
yeah, yeah. Psychological thriller, I think works.
Um, so if you're going into it looking for a demon possession movie, and something that is horror based,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's that at all.
no,
Um,
definitely not.
so
And
uh,
and I'll say, and I thought this throughout the whole thing. Like, Now, I worked Christian retail for 10 years. Okay,
Yeah.
I have seen dozens, and I mean dozens, of religious films,
Yeah.
and so one thing I can say right up front about this is it does not look like any of them. This actually
No.
looks very professionally shot and edited.
Yep.
So I honestly think the writing was kind of stilted and generic. You know, but
Parts of it. Parts of it. Yeah. I
a
would
lot of
agree.
that could have to do with just how familiar I am with the phrasing and terminology here,
Could be.
right? And the creators, they wanted to, again, not my words, they wanted to trick people into coming to see this to really make them think about things. And yeah, I think maybe people could walk away with some thoughts about this. What I hope the thoughts they walk away with are, wow, this film has demonized. Let me see some of the things. This film has demonized mental illness.
Yes.
Really, literally demonized mental illness.
Yes.
And then aside from a couple of the things we already mentioned, um, they outright mock the concept of hate speech. Okay,
Yes, they do that.
and like the demon is like, we didn't even have to do that one. You came up with that one all on your own. Now,
Yeah.
and to be understand.
Oh, to be clear, this is the first time Shane has taken notes on a film
Yeah.
in like a year. So
Seriously, I had to scribble on a few notes because I thought it was important. And this is one of the ones that really got me. The whole thing with hate speech,
this triggered Shane.
where
We're just gonna let him
demon,
go.
well, like the demon mocks. You remember, right? The demon is
Yeah.
mocking the concept of hate speech, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I say that because he's not mocking like the fact that people engage in hate speech.
It's
He's mocking
actual hate
the
speech.
very concept that humans have deemed something as hate speech.
Yes.
Right? He's mocking that concept
Yes.
that we have, right? So uh, if you walk away from this film with anything, walk away with it with that is that
Yeah.
you're going to hear a lot of really great things in this film, great progress that we have made, and it's all going to be demonized as
Yeah.
things that are bad, right?
Yeah.
So
Literacy.
yeah,
Basically any sort of progress that we've made as humanity
yeah,
is mocked and said that this wasn't what we were
yeah,
created to do, that we've gone off on our own, and it's all because of Satan and
yeah.
demons, because they're the ones with the free will and intelligence that were able to help us to see free will.
I will say one thing that I did think was kind of funny is that when Nefarious is describing the fall, and he's describing God, he really paints him in a very accurate way, I would say. And that's all I'll say about that, because I honestly just think you have to see this,
Yes.
right? And yeah, just the way, because even the psychiatrist is like, "Oh, that sounds awful," or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, that's another thing that's demonized is psychiatry. Just so we're clear.
Yeah. Yeah. So, have you guys seen Nefarious? What are your guys' thoughts on this film? What would you tell people who haven't seen this? Would you say see it for yourself, or would you say avoid it?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, to me, like, I'd love to have a conversation about it with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have seen the film, write to us. Put
Yeah.
some comments down here. Let's get some comments going down below.
Yeah. I am
And
not suggesting that people like boycott this film, not watch this film.
No,
Not at all.
no.
Not at all.
And like I said, I dug this movie. I loved Sean Patrick Flannery's performance in it.
Uh-huh.
It was good enough for me to say, I'd probably watch it again just for his performance. Am I actively looking to watch it again? No,
No.
but I would sit down and watch it again.
Yeah.
Then again,
I've seen much worse films they were also done
Can we
with
get that
better
on a shirt?
intentions.
Can we get that on a shirt? Somebody
Yeah.
just like, I've seen much worse films.
I've seen worse
Shame.
films that still had better motives behind them. So,
Well, let us know down in the comments down below what your guys' thoughts are on this film. Whether or not you want to go see it, or whether or not you're just going to skip it altogether. And while you're down there, make sure to hit like and subscribe. That way we can keep making these films and we don't just put them out into the ether and hope that they do something somewhere. But yeah, that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know that we did. Shane, you got anything before we sign off? No?
I better not.
We'll leave it at that. I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane.
Literally get the hell out of here.
Seriously.
We'll see you guys.